Delhi dangal in Parliament.
इसका समर्थन भी
मोदी जी के साथ हमारे अमित शाह जी शायद कहीं घूमने गए।
Amit Shah leads the centre's charge.
यहाँ एक ऐसे दल की सरकार आई जिसका मकसद, मुझे कोई झिझक नहीं है कहने में, जिसका मकसद सेवा करना है ही नहीं, झगड़ा करना।
Lashes out at Aam Aadmi Party over ordinance.
प्रॉब्लम ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग के अधिकार का नहीं है, विजिलेंस को कंट्रोल में लेकर बंगला जो बना दिया है इसका सत्य छुपाना है।
Opposition attempts show of unity.
ये घोटाले के लिए क्या ये बिल लाना जरूरी था? आपके हाथ में ईडी है, सीबीआई है, कितने सारे फौजे हैं आपके हाथ में, कितने सारे शक्तियां हैं आपके जेब में, तब उसको इस्तेमाल क्यों नहीं करते?
As Delhi Services Bill faces Lok Sabha test, the real fight will be in the upper house. The Delhi Ordinance Dangal, the big focus on 6 p.m. prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshata Anandagopal, and yes, this evening we're going to be getting you all the highlights coming in from Parliament. Yes, the big talking point was really the Delhi Services Bill. You had Home Minister Amit Shah leading the fight for the central government. A slew of opposition leaders who are backing the Aam Aadmi Party also spoke. We'll get you all of those highlights. AAP MP Raghav Chadha will also be joining me in just a few moments from now. First, as always, the headlines. Undeniable proof of Haryana villains with India Today. Exact moment when new riots unravelled, caught on camera. Cops, Yatra participants seen taking cover. Mega India Today impact after India Today exposed online hate in new riots. FIR filed against 3 social media influencers. 20 hate video links traced for fomenting riots. Fresh clashes erupt in Manipur. Forces and Meitei protesters clash in Bishnupur. Chili spray, bullets and tear gas fired. We get you exclusive ground reports.
This is number of the massive confrontation taking place here. The bullets being fired. This is the massive confrontation taking place. Stone pelting.
For Hindu side in Gyanvapi case, as Allahabad High Court gives green nod to ASI survey, Muslim side moves Supreme Court to challenge the order. Karnataka hijab row rerun in India's financial capital. Mumbai College bans burqa in campus as students must only wear uniform. Protests break out. And fresh trouble for BJP MP Brij Bhushan. Green Court orders probe against Brij in illegal sand mining case. For days now, we've been hearing about the Delhi Ordinance Dangal. It finally played out in Parliament today as every political party, keeping aside differences and all the protests and din in the House, engaged in a meaningful debate for perhaps the first time in the course of the monsoon session. You had Home Minister Amit Shah kicking off things, lashing out at the Aam Aadmi Party in the Lok Sabha. While defending the Delhi Ordinance Bill, he also made several points against the AAP, saying they're selectively interpreting the Supreme Court's decision. Targeting the Congress, Amit Shah also said that the former Prime Minister Nehru was himself against Delhi being given full statehood. He also, in fact, said that the reason the Aam Aadmi Party is against the Delhi Ordinance Bill is because they want control of the Vigilance Department to ensure the details of Arvind Kejriwal's splurge on his bungalow doesn't come out. The Aam Aadmi Party, meanwhile, has lashed out at parties like the BJD, YSRCP, because remember, these two parties who hold a crucial chunk of numbers in the Rajya Sabha have chosen to support this ordinance, have chosen to back the centre.
दिल्ली विधानसभा सहित एक संघ शासित प्रदेश है, तो दिल्ली ना तो पूर्ण राज्य है, ना संघ शासित प्रदेश है, ना संघ शासित प्रदेश विथ असेंबली। क्योंकि ये राजधानी क्षेत्र है, इसको ध्यान में रखते हुए 239A में इसका एक विशेष प्रावधान संविधान के तहत किया गया है। 239AA3B बहुत स्पष्ट है। इसके तहत इस संसद को दिल्ली संघ राज्य क्षेत्र या इसके किसी भी भाग के बारे में उससे संबंधित किसी भी विषय पर कानून बनाने का पूर्ण अधिकार प्राप्त है। गठबंधन बनाने के नए गठबंधन बनाने के अनेक प्रकार होते हैं। नया गठबंधन बनाने के अनेक प्रकार होते हैं। विधेयक और कानून देश के भले के लिए लेकर आते हैं। इसका विरोध या इसका समर्थन भी देश के और दिल्ली के भले के लिए करना चाहिए। अगर हमारी राजनीति में थोड़ी स्वीकृति कम है तो सबको मिलाना है। दिल्ली का जो होना है वो हो, जितना भ्रष्टाचार होना है वो हो। मंत्री कुछ भी करे, मुख्यमंत्री करोड़ों के बंगले बनाए, मगर हम विपक्ष में रहते हुए समर्थन करेंगे क्योंकि हमें गठबंधन बनाना है। इस तरह से नहीं सोचना चाहिए। और वैसे भी मैं बता देता हूं, विशेषकर कांग्रेस पार्टी वालों को, कि ये बिल पारित होने के बाद वो अलायंस में आपके साथ आने वाले नहीं है। तो जो सच है वो करिए। इतना अपील करके मेरी बात को समाप्त करें। 2015 में यहाँ स्थिति बदली और यहाँ एक ऐसे दल की सरकार आई जिसका मकसद, मुझे कोई झिझक नहीं है कहने में, जिसका मकसद सेवा करना है ही नहीं, झगड़ा करना। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी अनेक पार्टियों के मुख्यमंत्री रहे, अनेक पार्टियों की मिलीजुली सरकार रही, शुद्ध रूप से सरकार रही, मगर राष्ट्र सेवा करने में और जन सेवा करने में किसी भी पार्टी को कोई दिक्कत नहीं आई। मैं बाद में बात करूंगा क्या दिक्कत है वो, उसकी भी डिटेल बात करूंगा। प्रॉब्लम क्या है वो? प्रॉब्लम ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग के अधिकार का नहीं है। विजिलेंस को कंट्रोल में लेकर बंगला जो बना दिया है, इसका सत्य छुपाना है। जो भ्रष्टाचार हो रहा है, इसका सत्य छुपाना है।
मेरा सिर्फ यही कहना है कि अब जो भी कहे, शंका हमारे इसलिए है कि हिंदुस्तान में से एक ही राज्य दिल्ली नहीं है। अगर दिल्ली में इस तरीके की छेड़खानी होते रहेंगे तो इसके चलते आप धीरे धीरे हिंदुस्तान की बाकी राज्यों में एक किस्म के ही हमला करते रहेंगे। अगर आपको ये लगे कि यहां घोटाला होते रहते, ये घोटाले के लिए क्या ये बिल लाना जरूरी था? आपके हाथ में ईडी है, सीबीआई है, कितने सारे फौजे हैं आपके हाथ में, कितने सारे शक्तियां हैं आपके जेब में, तब उसको इस्तेमाल क्यों नहीं करते? ये घोटाला की चलते, घोटाला की विरोध करने के लिए आपको क्या ये बिल लाना जरूरी था? मैं ये सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं। दूसरी सवाल ये है कि देखिए ये अध्यादेश की घोषणा लोकतांत्रिक और न्यायिक विचार विमर्श का दरकिनार करने का एक स्पष्ट प्रयास है। क्योंकि मैं बता रहा हूं, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट की 2023 संविधान पीठ के फैसले के महज 6 दिन बाद ही 17 मई 2023 के अध्यादेश को मंजूरी देने वाले कैबिनेट प्रस्ताव पारित किया गया था, जबकि अध्यादेश को 19 मई को ही कानूनी रूप दिया गया और उसी शाम जैसे ही सुप्रीम कोर्ट की छुट्टियां शुरू हुई, इस अध्यादेश को जनता के लिए लागू कर दिया गया। ये सही है, ये गलत? आप बताओ, इतना जल्दबाजी क्यों आपको लगे कि अध्यादेश के तहत ये बिल लाना जरूरी समझा है आपने? क्यों?
आज चर्चा हो रही है कि चुनी हुई सरकार का पूरा मुख्यमंत्री का सारा अधिकार वो लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर को दे रहे हैं। वो क्या उचित है क्या? इस ऑर्डिनेंस की जरूरत क्या पड़ी?
अटल जी को याद करो, जो दिल्ली को पूर्ण राज्य बनाने की वकालत जिंदगी भर करते रहे। अपना घोषणा पत्र पढ़ो अमित शाह जी, उसमें लिखा हुआ है साफ साफ, दिल्ली को पूर्ण राज बनाएंगे। किसने? भाजपाइयों ने लिखा था। संख्या बल के आधार पर एक राज्य सरकार के खिलाफ आप गैर संवैधानिक बिल पास कर रहे हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में दूर दूर तक ये बिल कहीं टिकेगा नहीं, रुकेगा नहीं।
Let's get you the first reaction coming in from Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to Home Minister Amit Shah. Kejriwal has reiterated that in the Aam Aadmi Party's view, the services bill enslaves Delhiites, enslaves Delhi residents. He's also said that the India alliance will never allow this bill to pass. Kejriwal has also accused Amit Shah of dithering from the main issue, saying he's resorting to putting the focus on other issues to take the keen eye of Delhiites away from what's really happening right now in Parliament on the Delhi Services Bill itself. First reaction that's coming in from Arvind Kejriwal. Let's take this across to Moshmi Singh for more details. Moshmi, you've got Arvind Kejriwal right now lashing out at Amit Shah and saying that the India alliance will ensure this bill doesn't pass. Easier said than done. Numbers are not in AAP's favour right now.
Absolutely, Akshata, and bold and underline that he also brings in the India alliance question into the entire counter-attack by the Delhi Chief Minister. It is interesting that Amit Shah, drives a wedge straight into the opposition unity, hitting where it hurts the most. The Congress party, questioning the Congress party, saying it compromised on its own interests to keep the India alliance alive. And in fact, mocking the Congress, saying that after this bill is passed, the Aam Aadmi Party is going to walk out of the entire India bloc. So there you are, and first we had Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, slamming and hitting back at Amit Shah there, saying that you could use the ED and the CBI. Why would you want to get a bill, to in fact expose any kind of corruption when you have these agencies under you? And on the other hand, now Delhi Chief Minister, hitting back almost as soon as Amit Shah made those allegations. So very interesting power play is what we see, Akshata, there inside on the floor of the House.
And while the India alliance, Moshmi, came out in support of the Aam Aadmi Party in Parliament as well, we saw leading the fight essentially was the Congress and the Lok Sabha, because the AAP doesn't have representatives there. But at the end of the day, the India alliance was formed for this very reason, to combat the BJP, to show they have the numbers. It hasn't worked in this particular case either, because you've had the other parties like BJD, YSRCP, even TDP, who they failed to really bring into their fold, joining hands with the BJP on this.
That's there, they never had the numbers. They are in overwhelming majority, the NDA in the lower house, and you have the fence-sitters siding with the BJP. It's not also about the numbers now in the Raj Sabha with the fence-sitters, absolutely backing the BJP. It's a glim possibility that, any numbers could work in their favor, and that's one reason, the rhetoric is playing out to the fullest. The optics are playing out to the fullest. Interesting that the Speaker was Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and not Manish Tiwari or an MP from Punjab, because Congress MP from Punjab from the Congress's side, because they know that there is, and Amit Shah pointing that out as well, that there is a lot of restlessness in the Congress over support to the Aam Aadmi Party on this bill, and all for the sake of the unity of the India partners.
Very true. And at this point, you've got Arvind Kejriwal now reacting to Home Minister Amit Shah's speech there. But no reaction, interestingly, from Kejriwal, Moshmi, to the point that Home Minister Shah made about the AAP wanting control of the Vigilance Department because they wanted to hide the funding of the Chief Minister's bungalow.
Absolutely no reaction, but he actually played out the greater common good cause, that this would hold Delhi to ransom. It was about the right to rule for the people of Delhi, by the people of Delhi, of the people of Delhi. So he highlighted the cause of Delhi more than, answering those corruption charges in that tweet, Akshata.
All right, Maushmi, thanks very much for joining us with all of those details. So that's the big news break coming in. The war of words continuing even as the fight plays out in Parliament right now. But essentially what you've seen in the Supreme Court, and this is something that's constantly mentioned with regards to the Delhi Ordinance Bill, that the Aam Aadmi Party and the opposition constantly say that the Supreme Court has said that the Parliament cannot step in here. But remember, and let me just highlight for you how this has essentially played out for the last many years. It started in 2015 when the MHA directed the Lieutenant Governor then to take control over the Services Department. And that means that the appointment of officers, the power and control of that would go away from the Aam Aadmi Party. In 2017, you had, in fact, the central government also taking further steps on that front. It then moved to the Supreme Court in 2018, and since then it's been moving forward in the courts. I want to bring in on this broadcast Member of Parliament from the Rajya Sabha representing the Aam Aadmi Party, Mr. Raghav Chadha, on this broadcast. Raghav, good evening. I'm sure you heard what Home Minister Amit Shah said in Parliament. The most basic argument which the Aam Aadmi Party, which your party has been putting forth constantly, is the fact that the Delhi Ordinance and Services Bill is essentially against legislative competence to bring it in to the Parliament. And this has constantly been countered. Several legal experts here in India today have also raised this, Raghav, saying that it's not true. That, the Supreme Court mentioned that this can be brought up in Parliament. Amit Shah has said that you've kind of misconstrued the Supreme Court order to benefit your argument.
Well, I heard the Honorable Home Minister's comments and his interpretation of a couple of paras of the Constitution bench judgment of the Supreme Court. And I beg to differ with it, and I wish to say that that assessment and that understanding is erroneous, to say the least. The Supreme Court in its judgment has said that the centre has powers to legislate on some matters vis-a-vis Delhi, and it can make laws for Delhi. The laws that are to be made have to be within the four corners of the Constitution. They cannot be violative of the Constitution. Just how centre may have powers to make a law vis-a-vis Delhi, but can the centre tomorrow make a law, say, for example, give all powers to the government of Delhi to dictate the foreign policy of India vis-a-vis the United States of America? It can't, because that law, if the centre wishes to enact that law through an ordinance or through a bill, will be violative of the Constitution, because we have a boundary of subjects of administration that has been defined for the Delhi government. Similarly, since they cannot give us a power like the foreign policy, etc., which is beyond the power that the government of Delhi enjoys, they cannot even snatch away a power from us. So they cannot legislate and take away services, that is the transfer posting of bureaucrats, officers, disciplinary proceedings against bureaucrats, etc., from the Delhi government. So therefore, whatever they legislate has to be within the four corners of the Constitution. Since it is not within the four corners of the Constitution, we don't have legislative competence, as in we the parliamentarians do not enjoy legislative competence. Number two, it is violative of the Constitution of India. And third, it is a direct and utmost contempt of the Honorable Supreme Court. A Supreme Court on 11th of May 2023 came out with a unanimous 5-judge Constitution bench judgment, which says that services is fairly and squarely with the Chief Minister and elected government. You cannot, after 7 days, come out with an ordinance and take those powers away. And it is a direct challenge of the Supreme Court and challenging the majesty of the Supreme Court. There is no precedent where you can change the Supreme Court judgment without changing the basis of the judgment. And in order to change the basis of the judgment, you have to amend the Constitution, which they are not doing. They are only bringing a simple bill. So therefore, it is unconstitutional.
Raghav, can I read out two parts? One is from the Supreme Court verdict, which says the Legislative Assembly of NCTD has competence over entries. In addition to this, Parliament has legislative competence over all matters by virtue of Article 239AA3A. Now, another point that I want to make here is about also Article 249, which says Parliament should make laws with respect to any matter enumerated in the state list specified in the resolution. The Parliament will make laws for the whole or any part of the territory of India. It's these two parts that Home Minister Amit Shah also has constantly cited.
The judgment that the para that you read out from the Constitution, from the first bit that you read out of the Supreme Court's judgment, that judgment says that in accordance with Article 239AA, subsection 3, clause A, whatever that article that you read out, That article defines the powers of the Delhi government. You cannot add something to it. You cannot subtract something to it. You can only make laws to give effect to that law. For example, can the government tomorrow say that Delhi government will decide on India's foreign policy with the United States? No, because it is violative of Article 239 AA. Similarly, they can't take away powers from us also, because that will also be violative of Article 239 AA, and that is my short point. And in case you wish to do so, you have to amend the constitution. You cannot do this via amending a bill, amending an act. You have to amend the constitution, which you are not doing because you don't have a 2/3 majority in the Rajya Sabha. So therefore, this is an unconstitutional act. It is an attempt to hoodwink the Supreme Court, and it will, of course, be thrown in the dustbin because it's not worth the paper it is written on once it's before the Supreme Court. Number two, direct abuse of the government's ordinance making powers under Article 123. Ordinances are brought in the rarest of the rare circumstances where situations arise which necessitate an ordinance. There are no situations that necessitate an ordinance vis-a-vis Delhi. There is a Supreme Court judgment giving us all the powers. What was the hurry? What was the tearing hurry? Would heavens have fallen if they would have brought in a bill and not an ordinance? So merely because it is abuse of the ordinance making powers of the government, on that count alone, this bill should be struck down.
I want to highlight for a moment what Home Minister Amit Shah also said when he made this quite political. He said that the reason that the Aam Aadmi Party has such a big problem with this current legislation, with this current bill, is that you want control of vigilance to ensure that, no details of the Chief Minister's bungalow expenses really emerge. What's your response to that, Raghav?
Well, Aam Aadmi Party is not made up of the stuff that it will get scared or will be trembling with fear because of some threats that have been issued to us by the BJP, including by the Home Minister. They can let loose any agency on us. We have nothing to hide. We will still put up a big fight against you and defeat you in the electoral battles. Point number one. Point number two, these people are scared of Arvind Kejriwal. Today, the Home Minister let the cat out of the bag. He said that I am bringing this law because from 2015, situation in Delhi changed, and as a result, we had to take away all these powers from the elected government. What happened in 2015? India's highest ever electoral mandate was given to a man called Arvind Kejriwal. And therefore, ever since 2015, BJP has lost successive assembly elections in Delhi. They have realized that they can never form a government in Delhi, and their political future in Delhi is very bleak. As a result, they have decided that let's abandon the government, make the government administratively impotent, let's snatch all the powers from the government. And therefore, once there is no power in the government, there will be no elections, or there will be no effective elections in the city. And as a result, BJP will not be put to face a humiliating defeat every election after election at the hands of Mr. Kejriwal. That is what he said in the sum and substance of his statements. Sure. He even said that previous to 2015, everything was okay. But in 2015, something changed. It is in 2015 because Mr. Kejriwal came into office. I have to say this in no uncertain terms, that it is the Kejriwal phobia. It is the Kejriwal phobia on the basis of which and due to which BJP is bringing this bill. They are afraid of Arvind Kejriwal because they know that Arvind Kejriwal until the time he's in Delhi and he's contesting elections in Delhi, BJP has no future in Delhi. So let's abandon the government.
Okay, but what's happening in Parliament right now, Raghav, is realistically speaking, you don't seem to have the numbers. The BJD, the YSRCP, even the TDP, the so-called fence-sitters seem to all be siding with the BJP and the NDA here. So have you already lost the fight in Parliament?
Look, Lok Sabha, the government has the numbers. In the Rajya Sabha, it's a closely fought battle. Let's see how the voting happens in the Rajya Sabha. How many people are present, how many are voting, who votes for which motion, who votes for the motion, who votes against the motion. These are things we'll see once the bill is put to vote in Rajya Sabha. I wouldn't want to second guess the outcome. But yes, there are some political parties like the BJD and the YSRCP that have decided to support the government on this unconstitutional bill. I am pretty sure they have not done this out of choice. I am given to understand they have done this out of compulsion. And therefore, I recited a couplet to explain their situation, which is...
What kind of compulsion?
Well, I don't know what compulsion. It is for them to answer. It is for the people to, ponder upon what kind of compulsion. I can only say कुछ तो मजबूरियां रही होंगी, यूं ही कोई बेवफा नहीं होता, जी चाहता है बहुत सच कहूं, क्या करूं हौसला नहीं होता. I'm pretty sure they're subject to some compulsions and majburiyan. As a result, they've chosen. However, as far as defeating this bill is concerned, as far as challenging this law is concerned, we are going to challenge it legislatively by trying to oppose it in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and we will fight it out judicially in the Supreme Court when the Constitution bench is set up again to look into this matter. There have been two constitution benches that have heard the Delhi government's matter, one in 2018 and one in 2023. Both ruled in favor of the elected government and said that the elected government has all the powers. It's the chief minister that has all the transfer posting powers of the secretaries and the officers, not the central government, not the lieutenant governor. So we won 2 rounds in Supreme Court. Now we are gearing up for the round 3, and I'm pretty sure since the constitution remains the same, we will win round 3 as well.
Let's see if the parliament round goes your way as well. Raghav Chadha, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today. So you heard the Aam Aadmi Party's perspective there. They're making it very clear that they're going to be fighting this out tooth and nail, whether it's in parliament or in the courts. Let's get you details of how the BJP is gearing up for the 2024 battle. Prime Minister Modi almost every single day is meeting with a group of NDA MPs, and yesterday he met with a series of South NDA MPs, pictures of which he also shared of all of them having a South Indian dinner as well. Now, here's what we've picked up from the meeting. Prime Minister Modi reportedly has told all of them to prepare for the 2024 elections and conveyed to them that they should, in fact, focus on all of the corruption charges against the governments in the south, whether it's Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, or for that matter, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. He is saying that we must focus on what the BJP has done for the last 9 years, and that all opposition governments in South India are merely a model of corruption. Paulami Saha is joining us with more details on this. Paulami, what really have you picked up from your sources, or what was discussed in the Prime Minister's meeting with South NDA MPs? We know that the BJP is focusing hard on trying to make inroads in several of these states.
Absolutely. The BJP, as you know, Akshata, is not exactly a dominant force as far as southern India is concerned. So one of the messages, of course, that the Prime Minister asked the NDA MPs who he dined with to convey, of course, to their constituents is that the BJP is taking all NDA allies together and is working towards winning 2024. That the BJP works with its alliance partners, is not actually using them as such. He says, in fact, he told them that BJP in the past has also stood with its alliance partners without much going in its own favor. For instance, of course, when there was the AIDMK government in the state of Tamil Nadu as well. So he's basically asked them to convey that. The corruption plank, of course, is something that he's asked these NDA MPs to use as well as they go to their electorate and meet with them ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Remember that he's been having these meetings in clusters with MPs, NDA MPs specifically from across the various parts of the country. So this, of course, was the 4th such meeting. Earlier, he'd met with Western Uttar Pradesh MPs. He'd met with MPs from Bengal, Odisha and Jharkhand in one cluster. And then yesterday, in the first half of the evening, he met with MPs from the Kashi and the Awadh region. And then, of course, this meeting with NDA MPs from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep. The message, of course, is that the NDA is together, that the NDA has come together with one purpose, which is to serve the people, and the purpose of coming together is not like the other alliance, which he says is not the India alliance. He says refer to it as the UP alliance because name changing is not game changing, he says. So the UP alliance, he says, is only coming together because they have only one agenda, which is to defeat Modi. The agenda isn't to serve the people of the country.
All right, Paulami, thanks very much for getting us all of those updates.